Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And good morning, Las Vegas. How are we doing today? It is another damp Sunday here in Sin City. And we are thrilled to be with you here on the Mark Hoke Show, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN 101.5 FM. It is the talk of Las Vegas. Also streaming out there worldwide on that Odyssey app. Very happy to have all of you tuning in wherever you are there. And, of course, we're also streaming the show. The only show on KDAWN to do so on Facebook and YouTube. So we're happy to have you tuning in there as well if you happen to be on there. So if you have any questions or comments you want to throw at us, you want to just pop in on there too and fire away. We're more than welcome to have you do that. Jose Vellante is taking the day off. It is birthday time for Jose. So we will not have Jose with us today, but we will have a few adequate replacements coming in to join us here on the show as we are on the eve of the Royal Rumble. That's right, kids. It's that time already. Can you believe it? It is WrestleMania season, and of course things get hot and heavy as we get ready for one of the biggest weekends coming up here in Tampa. So we get ready for all those 30 men and 30 women piling into the ring to try to get a shot at the championship of their choice. And we're going to be breaking that all down for you as we have a couple special guests. Rick Ucchino is going to be joining us in the second hour. He'll be a special co-host with me talking about that and all sorts of other topics. We're going to get into the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards as they have been announced. The PWI awards have been awarded, and we're going to break those down for you as we talk about who won those this year, all over the place, and a few surprises on that. So we'll talk about that. And, of course, Kazuchika Okada, the RainMaker, who made his appearance here in Las Vegas with TNA Impact, announced right afterward that he is a free agent. He is leaving New Japan, and my God, the pursuit of one of the greatest on the planet between WWE and AEW, man, I'll tell you, that's going to be like chasing the top supermodel in the world. Everybody's going to want him, and only one group's going to get him. So we'll see where Okada ends up. He has a few dates he's got to finish up with New Japan, but I guarantee you that Tony Khan and Triple H are going to be opening up the checkbooks for the RainMaker to see who can get him in there. But we'll talk about that as well. And, of course, getting ready for the Rumble. And, some other little fun things going on in the world of wrestling as well. But Rick Ucchino will be on the second hour joining us. And we're in Las Vegas and we bet, right? That's what we do. So we're going to have our good friend who makes appearances regularly on SportsX Radio here, which airs Monday through Friday on KDAWN. Brad Powers from, of course, one of the great betting guys here, does a ton of football stuff in here from Brad Powers Sports, is going to join us at the end of this hour. He's going to be breaking down how do you bet and how do you bet on wrestling, because it's out there, it's available. So we're going to talk to Brad about that. And, of course, our big guest coming up here in just a few minutes, got a chance to sit down with the newly crowned TNA World Champion Moose. That's right, the big man, of course, former NFL player and Ring of Honor, and has been in TNA for quite a while, and got a chance to interview him fresh off winning the TNA World Championship from Alex Shelley, and then, of course, bumped into the former Dolph Ziggler, of course, going by his real name, Nic Nemeth, here at the Palms in Las Vegas over Hard to Kill weekend, and we got a chance to interview him. And boy, we found out why Tommy Dreamer said everybody hates Moose. We're going to know why. So we're going to get to talk to Moose here in this hour as well. So a jam-packed edition of the Mark Hoke Show, as we're going to be taking you around the world of pro wrestling. This is going to be a great show. But once again, we're getting ready for the Royal Rumble. And one of the biggest topics of talk around the wrestling world is Seth Rollins, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, injuring his knee, and according to Sean Ross Sapp, has torn his MCL. At least it wasn't the ACL, which would have put him on the shelf with Charlotte Flair for an indefinite time period, but at least it was the MCL. Will he be back for WrestleMania? They are going to be making an announcement on Monday on Raw as to what is going to be happening with Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, everybody was looking forward to seeing if he would be, wrestling CM Punk. That was pretty much the planned match for WrestleMania since CM Punk returned at Survivor Series to WWE. That match could be in danger, but an MCL injury, is it possible that he could get back in time for WrestleMania at the beginning of April? Yes. Who knows, though? It's going to be tough. And, we got to make sure that Sean's report, which is usually pretty good. Sean does a great job over at Fightful, and he's very reliable. So we'll see if what he said is true, that it's an MCL and a torn meniscus, which, he can make it back. Usually the longest those go is 16 weeks, but that is usually a very extended time period for an MCL injury. But who knows? And the other issue is that it will completely throw WWE's plans off if that's the case, because obviously you had that match set, now you don't. And, do you vacate the championship? Do you compete for it at Elimination Chamber if that's the case? Who ends up wrestling for that title? It's very complicated, because you would imagine that they probably had those plans set for the next few months. And if Seth's out, everybody kind of slides up a notch. And now what do you do? It's going to be a mess. So we'll see where all those plans come out. And we're going to talk with Rick Ucchino about that in the next hour. So it should be pretty interesting. But what we want to do right now is we want to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to hear from the new TNA World Champion, Moose, here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDAWN 101.5 FM. It is the talk of Las Vegas. Stick around. We got Moose, Brad, Powers, Ricky Chino, Royal Rumbles, knees, Okadas, all sorts of stuff. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
.101.5 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And we return to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. I'm Mark Hoke, Jose Vellante, birthdaying it up. Oh, Jose's probably not sober at all. That's okay. But he's having a great time. And, by the way, got a comment in the old chat box. As Gary Johnson, Ripple Man says, happy birthday, Jose. And Nikki Haley could beat Ron DeSantis in the ring. I don't know about that. I think Ron DeSantis can do it. I think he can handle business. But anyway. But we are very excited because we're going to hear right now from a guy who is now a two-time TNA World Champion. Got the chance to sit down with him after he knocked off Alex Shelley to win the TNA World Championship right here in Las Vegas. And if you missed it, well, shame on you. But it was a packed house down there at the Palms Theater, or the Pearl Theater at the Palms. Awesome time. Let's hear from the new TNA World Champion, Moose. And we welcome to the Mark Hoke Show the newly crowned and two-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Who else could it be but Moose? Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you on the show, and congratulations on your victory at Hard to Kill, taking out Alex Shelley and bringing that title home. Saw you had put up on Twitter a moment you'll never forget. What are you going to remember about that night?
Everything, every single thing, everything. I mean, it's rare. It's very rare that you ask a guy a question, a guy who's won multiple championships, and you ask them which championship means the most to you, and they say anything other than the first one. Because for most people, the first championship is the first major championship is always the most memorable one, right? And in my case, the second one is more memorable to me than the first time I won it. And the reason being is I'm in the main event of probably the biggest pay-per-view in the company's history, right? The rebrand of TNA, going back to TNA from being away from TNA for 8 to 9 years, right? We're performing in front of the biggest crowd that we've performed in front of in the last 10 years. And I'm in the main event of that. And then I win the brand new TNA World Championship. So, man, that makes it so huge, man. And yeah, it's a moment I would never forget. It's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, and I'm happy I was put in that situation, in that position.
Well, what did you think of the Vegas crowd and the setting in the Palms? Because it was, and you said it was the biggest crowd TNA has performed in front of in a long time, and I thought it was a pretty unique atmosphere. You know, it kind of reminded me of the Hammerstein Ballroom a little bit, but a little more modern looking setting. Were you pretty impressed with how everything came out in Vegas?
Yeah, it looked great. I was happy that one thing I was very happy about is that we went back to the tunnel for the entrances. I was really happy with that. Yeah, I mean, I was happy with everything. When I couldn't sleep the night before. That's how antsy I was to get the day going. And I've never been excited for a show like I was for this pay-per-view. And I don't think I'm ever going to have that excitement, like the excitement I had for Hard to Kill.
Then you turn around the next night for Snake Eyes and you're in the ring with Okada. Yeah. I mean, what a thrill that had to be. Yeah. And I know and you guys played that so well. And the confrontation finally happened. What was that like to get to wrestle against Okada?
If I'm not mistaken, we got a "This is awesome" chant just with me and Okada facing off. Mm-hmm. So that shows that it's definitely a matchup that people want to see and people would love to see. So yeah, I was happy by it, and I hope that's something that happens. In New Japan, if he leaves or if he stays, or hey, hopefully he comes to Impact and we can have that matchup.
Now, obviously the rebrand is now taking place. You guys got off a terrific weekend. What's next? Where do you want to see TNA go? Because now you have this momentum. What do you do with it?
I mean, I trust management will make the right decisions because they've been doing it for the past 5 years since they've been on board. So I put that on their hands. I'm just a wrestler. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do what I do every time I go out to the ring. I'm gonna give you 110% because that's all I know.
Now, you did get a little surprise after you won the world title. Nic Nemeth shows up. Yeah. Kind of spoiled the moment for you a little bit. It didn't? Okay. It didn't? So, what'd you think of that?
I loved it. Honestly, telling the truth, because Yeah, I mean, I threw a punch at him because at that moment, I thought he was ruining my spot. Because I just won the championship, but I had to sit down and actually think about it, and I was like, you know what? I probably should have just walked away because a guy of his stardom coming to the TNA only helps us out. It helps the company out because he could have chose any other place to go, but he chose TNA. So that shows you that TNA is a hot spot if you have a megastar like Nic Nemeth coming to us. So when I sat down, I actually thought about it and wasn't hot tempered. I was like, you know what? I should have just walked out the ring. I got what I wanted, which was a TNA World Champion. So I'll give him his little spotlight and let him do his thing. But me being a hothead, I swung at him and he kicked me in the face and gave me the zigzag, if that's even still what he calls it. But I'm happy he chose TNA and I'm happy he's part of the team. And obviously, I'm gonna get mine's back when the time is right, and I'm gonna reintroduce him to Moose when I feel like the time is right.
It's been an incredible journey for you. And, you look back at the run, went from the NFL into Ring of Honor and Japan, and obviously this ride through TNA. And it's been such an amazing journey for you through your career, now a two-time TNA champion. When you reflect back on your career and to get to this point, I'd imagine you had to think about it a little bit after you won this title again. What's this ride been like for you all these years?
It's been fun. Like when you do something you love to do, you never have to work a day in your life, right? So I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm enjoying every single day, every single match I'm in. Because you never know when your last match will be, so you have to enjoy it. So that's all I could do, man. That's all I do is enjoy every single moment I'm in.
Now, one thing that I noticed recently, and it was really neat that last on Saturday I was kind of up high, and then I got to be down lower for the Snake Eyes tapings. And I've been watching you for a long time. Your body changed a lot. I mean, it seems like you've been really putting a lot of time into the gym. And I heard some people were really pushing you to change your physique a little bit. And dude, you look good. What prompted you to really put the time in the gym to get yourself in to look that great?
It's funny because the last interview I just did, she asked the same question, Denise Soldado. I think. Hopefully, I'm not butchering her last name. But one of I'm gonna give you a full answer to this question. One of the reasons why I decided to stay with TNA and not leave to go elsewhere is because of my relationship with Scott D'Amore. Now, Scott D'Amore, we have several different relationships. We have the boss talent relationship. We have the mental pupil relationship. We have the big brother little brother relationship, and then we have the best friend relationship. And it's one of those things where if I went elsewhere, my relationship with whoever my boss would strictly just be boss employee relationship, right? So if I needed any friendly advice or brotherly advice, I couldn't go to whoever my boss is. I would have to go elsewhere. Well, with TNA, if I'm having family problems, I could call Scott. If I need to talk to somebody as a friend, I could call Scott. If I need business advice, Scott is a very successful businessman. I could call Scott. If I have issues with work, he's my boss. I could call Scott. So it's kind of like 4 different relationships in one, right? So to answer your question, I remember at a taping we was in, and Scott pulled me aside and it was like, man, I remember the time I used to see your abs. What happened, dude? He was like, yeah. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, you son of a gun. He was like, I'm just saying, like, you look okay, but you could look a lot better like you used to do. And I was like, you know what? That's you trying to tell me I'm a fat ass, and I know you. You're not gonna call me a fat ass, but you're gonna give me little, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna say little subliminal shots to make me feel that way. So, and I'm happy he did. And Scott has always been real with me, and he's like Scott is one of those guys that if I do something bad, he's gonna be like, yeah, that was bad. He's not gonna beat around the bush. He's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna, and that's a relationship we have, and that's how I like people to push me. Obviously, I played in the NFL for 7 years, and that's how I was so successful in that sport because I had coaches who, if I did something bad, they would be like, "Hey, Moose, you suck. Get better." And that's the kind of relationship me and Scott has is, "Hey, you're chubby. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to it. Like, I know you have it in you. Let's do it." And he told me that, and I was like, you know what? It's time to get back to work. And it took me 10 weeks to transform. And that's why I'm here now.
Very nice.
Which is funny because of the first transformation I had, which 3 years ago, Scott was the reason why I made that transformation. He sent me a picture with no words, and when I tried to call him back, he wouldn't pick up. And I was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch! I gotta dial it in and try to lose weight." And that I made a transformation then, and he did it again. So I love Scott to death. Probably one of the only guys, one of the few guys in our roster I would take a bullet for. I'm glad to call him a friend, my boss, and a brother.
Well, it's funny you say that because I just interviewed Tommy Dreamer last week, and, he basically said, nobody on the roster likes Moose. Now, why would Tommy say something like that?
No, Tommy is right. Tommy is 100% right. I'm a lovable guy. I wouldn't say nobody on the roster likes Moose because everybody on the roster loves Moose. Nobody. I guess what Tommy meant to say is nobody on the roster likes to deal with Moose. That's a big difference. Everybody loves me, but they hate dealing with me.
Fair
because
enough.
My biggest curse is probably my biggest gift. Is once I decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to put 110% into doing whatever that thing is. And if I have to call you a million times to make sure it gets done, I'm going to call you a million times. Now, people hate that because I might call you at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to get some sleep. Or I might call you while you're with your family or while you're with your kids. And because I'm that much big of an idiot, I don't think about what you're doing on your personal time. I'm only thinking about what I'm trying to get done because I told myself I'm going to get this done. So it's a big curse and it's a huge gift for me.
So what are your goals for this World Championship run? What do you see yourself doing this time around?
Honestly, to be a better champion than I was with my first run. That's the only way I can answer that question. I mean, I don't dictate what challenges comes up. The challenges and management dictate what challenges comes up. So, whatever those challenges are, my job as champion this year is to have better performances that I did the last go around.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Josh Alexander's a guy that's going to be in your future after what he did this weekend. Man, it's going to be fun.
He had a big weekend. He beat Hammerstone, and he had a good showing against Will Ospreay Part 2. So I'm looking forward to whoever it is, and hopefully it's Josh because I have to redeem myself because I have never beat Josh, and I wouldn't say I've never beat Josh, but I have beat Josh, but I've never beat him when it mattered the most, when a title was on the line. So I hope he's a challenger.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun when that confrontation happens. And then, of course, you've got some confrontations coming up here down in Florida as you guys are going to be at the Osceola Heritage Park for some TV tapings Friday and Saturday. You're going to be messing around with Kushida. You and your system guys have a match with Kushida, Alex Shelley, and Kevin Knight. And then you're going to be wrestling Kushida on Friday there, too. So a little bit of work with the time splitter, man.
Yeah, no, that's a first time matchup. It's funny, me and Kushida have tagged a bunch in Japan. We've tagged a bunch in Japan. We've had a lot of multi-tag matches, but we've never done anything one-on-one. So this is a first time ever matchup. I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait till the fans see what magic me and Kushida bring together.
Well, it should be a great time, and it's going to be very interesting to see where TNA goes, and you're the man at the helm. It's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it myself.
All right. Well, and Moose, where can everybody find you if they want to look you up on social media and so on?
My Twitter is, or X, whatever you prefer to call it, is the Moose Nation, and my Instagram is Moose Nation 69.
All right. Well, Moose, I want to thank you for coming on the Mark Hoke Show. I do appreciate it. I want to wish you all the best. And once again, congratulations on becoming the new TNA World Champion. We wish you all the best of luck in the world, and everybody can come out and see you in Orlando this coming weekend.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. Have a great day, sir.
You too, man.
All right, there you go. Moose, the new TNA World Champion. And, yeah, he is going to have his hands full. There are some amazing challengers looking to step up. Of course, Alex Shelley probably wants to get that title back. But now that the TV taping is over, I'm sure we can talk about Josh Alexander did beat Will Ospreay in that match, and it's up online. You can see it, and one of the best matches I've ever seen live. Just incredible. Had a night where you got to see Josh Alexander, Will Ospreay, Ucchino, and Okada all on the same night. I mean, what an incredible evening that Snake Eyes taping was. And, TNA just continues to try and build and build and build. We'll see what the future brings for those guys as they look to rebrand and keep bringing in talent and try to get themselves back to, where they want to be. I have a feeling that they want to be a little more than just that little engine that could. I think there's more aspirations for Scott D'Amore and the team than just being the number 3 promotion in the United States. But we'll see where that goes. And we want to once again thank Ross Foreman for setting that up and having Moose come on the show. And thanks to him for taking the time out. We do appreciate it. All right, so we're going to step back, and when we come back, you ever wondered how to bet on wrestling or just bet in general? Well, we got the guy to tell you how to do it. The man from Brad Power Sports, and one of the best in the business. That guy I'm very happy to call a friend, too. Brad Powers, of course, a frequent guest on SportsX Radio here in Las Vegas. We're very excited to have him coming on the show, so stick around for Brad Powers when we come back here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas. We'll be right back.
.101.5 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
And we return to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM. It is the Talk of Las Vegas. Of course, we're also on that Odyssey app. If you haven't downloaded that Odyssey app, shame on you. You are failing in life. It is one of the best apps out there. Thousands and thousands of shows, not just great shows on our station, like the Mark Hoke Show and SportsX Radio, but from everywhere. Just, do your search on your little telephone there. Punch in Odyssey, AUDACY. Download the app, and you're going to get content like you wouldn't believe. but it's got a rewind feature. So if you miss any part of the show, you can always rewind it. Of course, we got our show on Podbean, the markhokeshow.podbean.com as well. So you can download all of our past shows. Every one of those darn little puppies is up there, so you can check that out. But Odyssey app. And, of course, we're streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook as well, so you can check that out. And, of course, we are also got all those old shows up there as well for you to peruse. We're everywhere. That's what we do. And we're very excited because I have pulled this gentleman out of the world of football, transfer portals and NILs and looking at helmets and, all sorts of weird stuff to rescue him for about 15 minutes from that world. He is one of the best handicappers on the planet. There is no question about it. Very excited to have from Brad Powers Sports, well, the one and only Brad Powers. Brad, how are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me, Mark. I will say this, though. I guess since you technically called me a failure at life, I better get on downloading that Odyssey app after the show.
Yeah, what do you do? You've been on Ken's show so many times. You don't have the Odyssey app?
I'm on the show. I don't need to download the show.
Well, you should go back and listen to yourself.
I used to back in the day. I can't stand it. I've listened to myself enough.
All good. Well, the reason we brought Brad on the show, other than he's awesome, is there are opportunities out there to bet on professional wrestling. And for those of you that have never done any betting, if you go on the site that we recommend to do, betonline.ag, this could be very intimidating. So I want to first just have Brad go through and kind of explain what you're going to see when you would go on a site like that. Just what does all this mean when you look and you see for the Men's Royal Rumble that CM Punk is a plus. Can I call him CM Plunk? I did. That's pretty good. You see that CM Punk is a plus 150. Cody Rhodes is plus 275. And Roman Reigns is plus 10,000. What does that mean? So, Brad, first explain what everybody's looking at when they go on that website and they see those numbers.
Well, first and foremost, obviously the Royal Rumble is a very different match. It's not a head-to-head where, you got, just for the most part, two options. I know we got a fatal four-way match for the title at the Royal Rumble, but typically you only have two guys, and it's a little less complicated when that's the case. But in the Royal Rumble, obviously, when you're seeing those plus 150s, plus 275s, at least at the top of the card, obviously that's saying CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are your two favorites. Now, it's actually, typically when you have matches in the WWE, because it's scripted, you're going to usually, in most instances, have a big favorite. For example, in the Fatal 4-Way match, you have Roman Reigns is minus 2,000. Meaning you got to bet $2,000 to win $100 if they let you bet that much on that particular event. In this case, everybody's got plus money, and that's what everybody likes to do. They want to bet a little to win a lot. But I'll say this. When betting wrestling is a cautionary tale, similar to, when it comes to any other sport, don't be betting your favorite wrestlers. Don't be betting, I think this could happen or that could happen. Maybe if you think you have inside information when it comes to a specific storyline in the WWE, I would say mainly follow the line movement as far as on the day of the event. Be careful that they don't close the event as far as the betting several hours beforehand. But this is the one, since it's a predetermined outcome, similar to kind of the NFL draft. I like betting favorites. I like betting stuff as far as a lot to win a little. Right now, to me, as far if you're going to ask me to handicap the Royal Rumble, who I think is going to win it, I think CM Punk and Cody Rhodes makes the most sense. I will say, if you want to break it down and get into it, the injury to Seth Rollins, I think, throws a little bit of a curveball into it. Because is he going to be ready? Because it would have made perfect sense. CM Punk wins it. He announces he's going to fight Seth Rollins. That's why CM Punk's sitting there as the favorite. But is Seth Rollins going to be ready for WrestleMania 40? I'm not sure. So I would say avoid the Brock Lesnar's of the world, the Miz's of the world, the big long shots, MJF, unless you have inside information. I would be more at the top of the card. If you're betting anybody other than CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, maybe The Rock. I don't see that even. I think you're doing yourself a disservice, if that makes sense, Mark.
So, for example, if you wanted to bet on CM Punk and it's a plus 150, so if I bet $100 on CM Punk, what would I get back?
You would get your $100 back plus another 150. I should have broken it down in simplistic terms. You should have interrupted me, Mark.
Oh, it's okay.
But here's the issue, and here's why I didn't get into that too much. Maybe my account's flagged, but I went into it. I was thinking, hey, you know what? How much can I really get down on this? Because I haven't bet wrestling in a while. I get cautionary tale for myself. I didn't read this is several years ago. I didn't read the fine print and got hurt pretty bad on a disqualification type thing where I lost a lot of money. We can get into that a little bit, but I looked, hey, how much can I, Brad Bowers, bet CM Punk right now? You know what I could bet? $4 to win $6. So if you're thinking you're going to bet this wrestling, I know that CM Punk's going to win the Rumble. That's fine. You're not going to become rich overnight betting a lot of this stuff. Because they are predetermined outcomes, you have very low limits, at least for a guy like myself. So, yeah, in a perfect world, you'd like to bet at least $100 on this. You would get back your $100 bet plus another 150.
Yeah, it's usually, just so you know, usually they do keep these very small bets. You're not going to be able to go and bet $100,000 on any of this stuff or anything like that. They do keep it very low. But yeah, so when you're looking at this, you do see some pretty crazy numbers on the board. Like, for example, Brad, if you were able to bet $100, you could bet on Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's plus 25,000 to show up. And, you would bet your 100 plus you would be able to get $25,000 if he won the Royal Rumble. That's how it works.
It's allowing me to bet that one for $1. So I'd win $250. Yeah. But again, I'd avoid a lot of those, what I call needle in the haystack, because how often? I mean, look, the booking's been a lot better the last couple of years under Triple H. No question about it. But how many times in this day and age are you absolutely stunned when it comes to WWE results? I'm asking you. I mean, have you been stunned too often here recently?
Not too stunned. There's a surprise here and there, but I would agree with you, Brad, that if you are going to be placing bets on this stuff, generally staying with the favorites. I mean, I think when you're looking at this year, there are a couple possibilities on the men's side. Just running down, I think, but you did mention with this Seth Rollins injury, it could throw some chaos in here.
Yes, it could.
Punk
I think if it wasn't for the injury, Mark, CM Punk would be a minus favorite to win the Rumble.
Yeah.
The fact that this is actually pretty wide open, that you have a plus, everybody's plus money. Usually you don't see that. Usually you got a guy, even we're talking, we're 6 days out prior to the event. Usually you have somebody like minus 300 at this point. Right. And then as you get closer to the event, it becomes more and more of a bigger favorite.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking down there, and I'm, you wonder, does Randy Orton become a betting favorite? Is The Rock a guy that, it's at a plus 700? Is he a possibility? Just running down through, I almost am very curious about a guy by the name of Roman Reigns. Do they pull this little stunt where he loses the title earlier in the night and then comes back and wins the Rumble? As crazy as that sounds, it's a possibility I brought up about 6 weeks ago on the show, but could they do something wild like that? Is it, would it be worth throwing $2 down and maybe winning a couple $100 just for fun?
I mean, if you got a couple bucks, for fun. You would end the reign over something like that. I don't think they would do that. They're doing a much better job of the long storytelling than what they used to. If it was 5-6 years ago, I would say, but sure, go right ahead, because there was no really method to any of their madness that was going on as far as booking some of this. Do you think they would really end it at the Rumble?
Honestly, I think there's a possibility this year.
All right.
I think there's a possibility they might want to get the belt off Reigns to set up a match with The Rock and do some crazy stuff.
That doesn't need a championship. I will say that.
Right. So,
and where do you fall? How does Cody finish his story? That's also, you got to take that. I mean, that's one of the overarching themes of this Mania season. Maybe it carries over to even another Mania. How does he finish his story?
Right. Then, the possibility of maybe facing Randy Orton, old friends from way back. Who knows?
I mean, that.
Yeah,
My goodness, you got me thinking. Like, I'm supposed to be giving out the advice. You're giving me the stuff that's making me think maybe I should put a couple bucks on that.
There you go. Brad will pull in.
I'll share the wealth too. So if you do in fact cash that, I'll be bringing some, not as much as you think, because they're just not letting me bet too much. Like The Rock, I was seeing and let me bet $3 to 21, but maybe I can get you a ham sandwich or two.
There you go. Or maybe I can get a pizza bet, as you like to say.
Yes.
But yeah, if you go down through right now, the championship match, the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns is minus 2,500, which means he is an overwhelming favorite. You see something like that. But Randy Orton's a plus 800. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, the way you broke it down, I mean, he makes sense. I mean, obviously, LA Knight's been really red hot with the fans the last 6 months or so, but the way you laid it out as far as the possibility of a Cody Rhodes-Randy Orton match, I mean, I understand why he's the second choice there in that fatal four-way.
Yeah, so some interesting possibilities, but I just wanted to give everybody out there a little bit of knowledge in case you felt like doing it. And, of course, Brad's specialty is football, and he's one of the best at it. There's no question about it. You can go on his website. And Brad, tell everybody a little about where they can find you if they're interested in, betting on football or whatever else you want to throw at them.
Well, first, we are talking wrestling, and I like to pick people's brains. Who do you got in the women's? I mean, is Bayley the deserving favorite there? What about Jade Cargill?
I would go, the favorites right now, Bayley, Becky, Jade, probably the top three. That's where I would lean.
Yeah.
Unless Mercedes or Sasha shows up, but otherwise, it's those three. One of those three. So,
all right.
Yep, that's what I got.
Mark. I see how I turn that around. Try to get inside info from the insider himself. Yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I always tell people to go to Twitter, Brad Power 7 or X or whatever you kids are calling it these days. And if you like what you see there, you can head on over to the website, BradPowerSports.com.
There you go. Well, Brad, hey, I want to thank you for taking the time out to come on the show. I appreciate it. It's your second appearance. It's been a long time, buddy.
It's been a while. If I did good enough, maybe you'll have me on for WrestleMania season.
I think that would be awesome. I think our listeners would really appreciate that because it's going to be a wild one, that's for sure.
Look forward to it, Mark. Thanks for having me, bud.
Hey, Brad, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. There you go. Brad Powers, everybody. Breaking it down. How you bet? And trying to get me in trouble with everybody. All right, there you go. Brad Powers. So, guys, thanks for sticking around for hour number 1. And we're going to do hour number 2 coming up. Ricky Chino is going to be joining us here on the show. And we're going to be talking Royal Rumble. We're going to be talking Okada. We're going to be talking about Seth Rollins and all this crazy stuff going on in the world of pro wrestling right now as WrestleMania season and the Royal Rumble may have been thrown into complete chaos with this Seth Rollins injury. Stick around, everybody, for hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM. Talk of Las Vegas. Just find us, Mark Hoke Show, on social media. We'll be right back.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.